Today I show you how you can navigate between different views in iOS and in Android. For this I'm using the application which I'm preparing already for the previous video, and this time I will show you the steps how you can link these views, or how you can create these views, and how you can switch between these views in different ways. So let's start with the iOS application. So here, as you can see, I already prepared two view controllers, and these two view controllers are linked to each other. As you can see, we have links here. But now I will delete these links. Just I try to remember the names. Okay, so to first controller and to second controller. So let's see how we can link the views to each other. So you need to select at first that view controller from which you want to switch over to another one, and then going into the view controller icon, simply press the right button and pull the mouse to the other view inside the view. So now you will see this this little message window where you can select that how you want to show the other view controller. You have several options, so simple show or present modally. This will change a little bit the behavior, but today we don't want to go into these details. We just go into the show view mode. So you can see that the link which I had before is already or created back again. But what we also have to do is that we have to name this. I mean the link itself. So the identifier was to first window, to first controller. Sorry. So let's type it in again. Okay. So this identifier, which is in the storyboard, is used for the switching function. So here you have actually two different ways how you can go from one view to another. Either to use this kind of segues what we created here with these arrows. The other thing is that you can simply load the view into the screen and switch it over from one view to the other view. So how we do this? We need to go into the view itself where you want to make the change. So if we are going to the view controller, then I already linked this some actions here. So basically, maybe the better is if I'm going back and show it to you. So I put here two buttons, to second controller and second controller on another way. So these two buttons will work a bit differently. And what I showed you in the last video is that you have here the assistant window, and here in the assistant window you can create the actions to these buttons. So here, if I click on the right button, I can bring up this window which is showing that I already linked the touch up inside action to the 2 second controller action inside the view controller. So you can see here this action is here, 2 second controller. So in this function we will use the perform segue function, which is not doing anything else, just that it's calling the segue which we created here. So actually this one, because from the first controller we are going to the second controller. So you can see that when I click on this segue here, okay, it's not so visible, but this arrow, this gives you this segue, and the name of this segue is to second controller. So here under this function, if we press the button, we will get the perform segue to second controller. The other button, which is here, is going to the other way. function inside the view controller. So this is the other way here. So here I explained that how you can use or how you can switch to the other window without defining a segue itself. So once we click on this button, then we need to make here a variable which will call or which will handle which will contain the second view controller class. And then we are calling the storyboard, and from the storyboard we are instantiating a view controller which is the second view controller. So which one is the second view controller? Of course this one is the second view controller. So here you can see the class name. And what is important, that when you are defining this second view controller, or want to call this second view controller, you need to have a storyboard ID defined. So you are not calling the class itself, you will call the storyboard ID. If you don't define the storyboard ID, then you will get a failure when you try to switch over. Basically the application will fail completely and will break at this point, because it will not find the storyboard item with this name. So now if you want to go back, of course, to the other view controller from the second view, here we have this other segue defined, so the toFirst controller. And as you can see, there is a button as well, toFirst controller button, which is linked to the toFirst controller function in the view controller class. So once we will press this button, then again here we are just switching to the other view with the perform segue function. And we are calling, of course, the toFirst controller segue itself. So we need to have this second or toFirst controller segue with the identifier here. Okay, so let's test the application and you will see how it works. So the first view controller loaded, and we can test now the button function. So let's test the segue version. Okay, it was switching to the second view controller. Now let's go back to the first one. It works. So now we can test the other way of working, where we are not calling a segue, but we are directly loading the second view. So when we press the button, it works on the same way. So theoretically, there is no difference between the two way of working. However, what we are not touching right now is that when you are using a segue to go from one page, going from one page to another, one view to another, you can define variables or values what you can give over from one view to another, but this we will touch in a later video. Okay, so this is the iOS version, and now we can look into the Android version. Okay, so here the prepared application is also like from the other one. We have a navigation graph, and on the navigation graph we have a similar kind of things like in the iOS version. So we have these arrows which are basically telling from the navigation controller what we want to do or where we want to go. So here these actions, let's say these are called actions. We have several one. So we have the action from the action second fragment to first fragment. So this is our first fragment here, and we have the other action which is the action first fragment to second fragment. Okay, and then we have a global function. This can work like in the iOS case, the kind of direct loading of a fragment in the Android. So basically, the difference, of course, is that when you want to call these actions should be called from the view or from the fragment from which you want to go to the other one. So if I want to go to the first segment from the second segment, I cannot call this action, because this will fail. This will fail because in this fragment you don't have this action or the home fragment, let's say, or the home page of this segment is or fragment is the first fragment and not the second fragment. However, the global actions like this one can be called from any point of the application, and you can basically directly go to a fragment which you are using. So here for this sample, I was making this action calling this action from the main menu, which is created on the top right corner of the page when the application is running. So let's see how these are working in the fragments. So let's go to the first fragment. So when we want to change from one fragment to another, or from one screen to another, we can use different solutions. Here we are basically using the navigation controller to make for us this kind of switching between the screens. So how this is done is that when we are creating the page or the view itself, then we need to define the function which will be called when we are pressing a button. So as I mentioned to you earlier, in the Android or in Kotlin, the elements of the screen or elements of the fragment is linked via this binding function. So here the fragment first binding is automatically created when you create the fragment in the Android Studio, and then this binding is linked to the view. So when the view is created, then the binding function is basically defining this binding root, and then from the binding root you can get to the different elements of the screen. So here we have the button, which is if we go to the first fragment, this button here is called to second fragment. So this is which should be used. So this ID should be used in the code itself with the binding function. So here you can see that the binding to second fragment. So this is the button itself, and we need to define the function. In this case, the set on click listener. So when I'm clicking on the button, then this function should be called. And then inside the function, we need to call the navigation controller. So basically, this navigation graph is used as a navigation controller, or the navigation control is using this graphical explanation of the links and how the whole system should work. And in the first fragment, we are calling this function, and we are calling the action, which is basically this action first fragment to second fragment. So if we go again back to the navigation, first fragment to second fragment, so this is the function here, or the action here. Okay. So let's see, we have the second fragment. Okay, here we have the button. This one is also doing its job. So we have the button second, set on click listener, navigation controller, navigate second fragment to first fragment. Okay. So let's see how it works, and then we will talk about the global action. Okay, so let's run the application. So it's loaded, and this is the button what we were talking about. This is making the job that it's switching between the first segment to the second fragment, and then we press on the second fragment button, it goes back to the first fragment. So this is the simple way, I would say. So with the navigation controller and with the local functions or local actions which are defined to each fragment. Of course, you can have more views, more fragments, and you can link them to each other on different ways, or you can use the global functions if you don't want to, or you want to reach one page from several locations without having lots of actions linked in the navigation graph. Okay, so let's see now. I don't stop the application, I just explain what is the other way of working. So here we define this global function. So here, let's make it a bit bigger. So action from menu to second fragment. So here we are just wanting to go to the second fragment. And then in the application we have a main menu defined, which is actually this 3 dots in the corner. So you can see that to second fragment. This is what we defined here. So when we define this second fragment, it also has this this ID right now. So not just the title, but the ID itself is is the same. So this menu function is actually called from the main activity. So this is where we need to define the action, and here we can define many actions, of course, and these global actions will do the job, and will go to the right to the right link, let's say, to the right page. So what we need to define is that we need to override the original function, so the on options item selected, and it has an argument which is the item, the menu item, and when this menu item is given to the function itself, then we can define what we want to do, or which item is selected, and what we want to do with this selection, or with this menu item. So here we define the 2 second fragment, which one is this here. So we are not doing anything else, just we are going to the find nav controller, and here we need to give basically the main content, or nav host fragment main content. This is actually on the main screen, or link to the main activity, and this we need to link here, because otherwise it will fail. So we can't know here which frame or which segment is on the screen actually, but we definitely want to go to the second fragment with this action, which is again this action is here, this global action. Okay. So what I did not mention is that how you can define this global action. So if you don't have anything defined, then you just click somewhere outside this area, I mean the fragments or the links or whatever, and then you will see that it's talking about in the navigation about the nav graph, and then under the global actions you can add the global action itself. So when you press this button, you can give an ID to it, which was in our case was the 2 second frag, and then you need to define what is the destination. Okay, and then you can add different things. So basically let's define an action just to the first fragment as well. So let's define, and then it's automatically giving an ID. If you don't like this ID, you can change it, of course. And you can define different transition methods. So this is not really important right now, so we are not taking care about it. So when we press the add button, then you can see that an additional global action is defined. Okay, and you can also delete this if you don't want. So let's run. Actually, we don't need to run again the application because it's already running. So let's go to the second fragment from the menu. We are clicking on the second fragment and it goes there. So basically this is what we can do, or how we can do in the Android application. Of course, here you also have the possibilities to pass over arguments, and you can define these arguments under this menu, or you can define directly for each actions under the argument default values. And of course these default values you set up here in this one, but you can change it later on if you want. Okay, that was all for today. I just wanted to show you how you can link the views or the view controllers or fragments to each other in iOS and Android, and how you can change between these views on different ways. That was all. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe for additional content where we will talk about more detail about other possibilities and other problems what you can solve as a developer in your application. So see you next time, and don't forget to subscribe.